Alright, time to turn on the overhead lights again. A little while ago, I attempted to install this video card in my apprentice's computer. This is a 1050 Ti. Turns out we had a low profile one as well, which we ended up putting in. This, for some reason, would not start. It said the devices reported a problem and it would not start the drive, would not use the drivers. This is a 4 gig card, hence we can see 1, 2, 3, 4 memory chips on here. I'm just going to take the heatsink off this and have a look and see if there's something obviously wrong with the card. I'm no great expert in terms of video cards specifically, but I have done a lot of microelectronics in the past, so I figure maybe I'll be able to spot something simple. Not exactly the most expensive card by these standards, but it was free. So sometimes it warrants taking a look at it. In amongst all the free was a whole bunch of other video cards, most of which are essentially worthless. This one still has a bit of value in today's day and age, so I'm going to see if I can find something out about this. Okay, we're going to start by ripping the heatsink screws off the back and then see what's on the side. These are fairly loose. I would expect them to be in with just a little bit more tension this, or even a little bit of thread locker, but no, that's they're very loose. Alright, let's oh, okay, that comes straight off. Okay, so that was considerably easier than I had expected. Also, I spot that there's actually 4 RAM chips on this side too, so they might be 512 each. Okay, so the heatsink just dropped away in my hands here. We will put a little bit more heatsink paste back on this when we put it back on. Not that I really care too much. I notice an unpopulated power header here. That might be just par for the course, and that might not need to be populated. But it does look like something's been in there and it's been removed. Now, if that's the case, that might be prudent, because what I did see happening on this is symptomatic of not having the auxiliary power connected. So I might be able to do something about that. I'll have to map out which pins are for what. But I could try and hook that up. So otherwise I can't see any signs of anything crazy happening here. I've had a look over the power regulator side here. These do look a little wonk, but the pins are all in the right place. So they're all good. The power filters for each channel look pretty good. And again here, these look good. There's no signs of little burst chips. Nothing like that. I could hook a lab supply up to the power rails on here. I don't quite have the right connectors to do that. I could do it through here too. That's really the only thing I've got as a thought for this, is maybe hooking up something to this and seeing if it actually fires up again. I would have to find a test machine. The only other machine I would test this on is in use at the moment. But I think I could probably just hook a Molex up to that. I'll have to work out what the pin out is. But yeah, I'm actually shocked at just how simple this card is. And it is useful enough that I'm kind of motivated to try and make that work. That's the only thing I've got at the moment is my thoughts. There are a bunch of unpopulated things here, which I think, let's zoom in. Sections like this tend to be like hardware switches. They'll put a capacitor on 1 or 2 of these, either depending on calibration or what they want to configure it to do. I do notice these look to be on the ground plane here, so they might only need 1 across that, not 3 of them. So that does sort of lend my feeling that this might be a calibration setup. These look almost like diodes. Again, down here, you've got these. They're all parallel to each other, so they probably add some of these just to adjust voltages or capacitance as needed based on calibration. So yeah, these might be filters on the power side. They decided they're not needed. So it is a pretty simple card. Like, most of it's done on this dedicated GPU. You can see over here, here's all the traces off to the RAM sticks. So they put little ripples in these to try and keep the track lengths identical so that you get the same memory latency on every channel. So you can see a majority of the lanes, the I/O on this chip, is just to these. Now this is something that gets me interested. There's a bunch of little things going on here. There's surface mount components on here. I wonder if maybe somebody's had this heatsink off before and that's why it came off so easy. And maybe they've dislodged one of the little components on here. I'll have a look up close in a minute. Let's flip over. Have a look here. Yeah, we see here on the other side of the board there are more going off to these chips. I believe these are RAM chips. They're all identical ones. Yeah, I would have to look that serial number up. It's not obvious just from looking at it, but looks pretty good from here. Okay, so we've had it off. We've cleaned the heatsink paste off. We've cleaned it off the components on the chip. I don't think we've lost any components on the chip. There isn't really a sign of any of them departing the board there, which is a good sign. I think we're going to put a heatsink paste back on it, put the heatsink on, and put a power connector on it and see if it works. And we're going to do the controversial thing and apply an arbitrary amount of heatsink paste and not spread it around. Anyway, let's move on. I poked through my spare parts and I found this old Gigabyte, GeForce GTX 280. That's a huge heatsink and huge amounts of power for what it was. But it has a 6-pin PCI Express power connector here. I might lift that off the board and swap that into the other one and see if that works.
One eternity later.
Okay, after an unwholesome amount of heat later, I got this thing off. If only the modern GPU connectors were built with such robust pins on them. This took so much heat to get off the board. I've probably got to clean the pin up a little bit. And I had to bring out the old Weller iron with a better temperature on it. This might go on the board, and I hope it's the right pin out. Okay, sometime later, we have a power connector in here. Not sure if it's the right orientation. The square and the chamfer holes seem to be in the right combination, but the wrong way up. So, I don't know. We'll see if this works. And I have marked negative, which has now come off with the permanent marker has come off with the alcohol I used to clean the flux off. But these two pins here appear to be negative. These are all going together, so this middle might be sense wire. These will be negative. I assume that's positive. I'm going to find a connector and see if it matches up. Now we're out in the shed to poke through my collection of power supplies up here. Now, if a couple of those connections do look cold soldered, it's probably because they almost are. These were some gigantic pins. It's been a long time since I've seen something quite that hefty. So I'm going to poke through these looms here somewhere. Hopefully I have a connector that fits it. Right, so I found the one that connects to it. This bottom row are the positives, which means the bottom row goes to the inside ones, which I theorized these would be positives. All the others are negatives, which go along the back there. So that 6-pin connector probably does the trick. I won't have access to a test machine until my apprentice goes to bed. It's past midnight, it's school holidays. I might have a bit of a hard time. But yeah, we'll see if this works. Alright, we're over on the apprentice workstation. We've removed the low profile 1050 Ti. We'll see if this works. See if it blows up. Probably would work better if I plug power in. Alright, memory light's on. We need to put display on. Moment of time. Sorry, moment of truth. Do we have smoke? No. We have blue lights on things. I think that's the MSATA SSD underneath it. See if we get a picture. We have picture. See if we can log in. See if it works. So straight away I notice we haven't been kicked back to 640 by 480. That's a good sign. Let's have a look here. Okay, no, we haven't started. So it says yep. So it says something's not had a problem. So it says reinstall the drivers for this device. To reinstall drivers. That's a different sign than what we had before. So yeah. That's not too bad. You know what, let's try and reinstall the drivers. Oh, hang on. It's updated something. I'm gonna have a poke around. Alright, I'm doing as I'm told and I'm reinstalling the drivers, although I doubt this will change anything. I think the card's probably still kind of sick, but we'll try. Alright, so after driver install, we're back to the same thing here. Windows has stopped this device because it reported a problem. Fortunately, I'm not going to dig deep enough to figure out exactly what that reported problem is. I'm going to declare this card damaged beyond repair, but it was an interesting experiment nonetheless. So, low profile cards going back in. Alright, back with the low profile one, which is also a GTX 1050 Ti. This is what we'd expect to see, and of course we'd expect to see both monitors working like that. So sadly we can't fix it, and it wasn't an easy fix. It's above my pay grade at this point. So see you in the next one. Hope it was fun. See what else we can do.